with Mr. Anthony Kunko at his home at 619 Farron Street in Portage, Pennsylvania. Mr. Kunko is 79 years old, having been born on July 5th, 1925. My name is Andrew Phillips, and this is Ashley McCabe, and we'll be doing the interviewing. Mr. Kunko, could you state for the record what war and branch of the service you were in?
I was in the Army Air Force in World War II,
What was your rank,
Staff Sergeant
and where did you serve?
in Italy.
Did you volunteer or were you drafted?
I was drafted.
How old were you when you joined the military?
18.
What were your remembrances of boot camp?
Not a lot of marching. We were at boot camp in Greensboro, North Carolina, and it was a lot of red mud, and it was in late November, December, and we had rain and snow, and it was a lot of red mud.
What do you remember about your instructors?
Well, they were very good. They weren't overly aggressive, but they got their points across, what we had to do and what we had to learn.
Briefly describe military food. Did you eat Spam or SOS?
Yeah, we did.
What did you... I'm sorry.
You know what SOS is, don't you?
No.
Well, it's creamed beef on toast. We have a different name for it, though.
What did you like or dislike about the food?
Depending on what base we were, some food was good, and overseas everything was powdered or stored in containers and was not very good. But food in the bases over in the United States was pretty good, basically.
Did you get any character building duties like KP, mess hall, guard duty, etc.?
Yeah, I had it all. KP, kitchen police, daytime, nighttime, go ahead, guard duty. The worst part I hated was marching in the field all day, then going on KP at 10 o'clock at night without any rest and work all night in the mess hall.
What do you remember about your officers? Is there one special officer you remember?
I would have to say our pilot. He was a great influence on us and on our crew.
What regulations were very frustrating in the service?
Well, there were a lot of things that we didn't approve of, but we had to do it. Considering military, as far as the military goes, there was nothing really aggravating. It was just a learning process from a young kid, learning to discipline and stuff like that.
Who was the most unforgettable character that you ever met in the service, and why?
That had to be our tail gunner. You had to be a character to be a tail gunner in the first place. But we became very good friends after our service was over, and we visited back and forth with our families and everything. He was from Connecticut. He's no longer with us.
What were your opinions of the equipment, clothing, rations, and training of the U.S. military?
Basically, it was all very good. The rations we had overseas weren't too great. But as far as equipment and clothing, it was the best that they had at the time.
What part of the world did you like best in your military experience? Was this your first time away from home?
Basically, yes. It was the first time I spent any time away from home. Probably California was the nicest place.
What did you miss the most about the United States?
Fresh milk.
What was your job or assignment in the military?
I was an aerial gunner on a bomber crew.
Why did you pick this branch of the service?
Well, I didn't pick it. We went through a battery of tests in New Cumberland, and this is where we were assigned. according to the marks we made on our tests, we were assigned to the Air Force.
What type of special training was involved?
We went to gunnery school in Tyndall Field, Florida. From there we went to flight training school in California, then we went to crew training at March Field in California. That's about it.
How did you dress on a B-24 because of the high altitudes?
Very warmly if possible. We had our OD uniforms plus a summer flying suit, then we put on a heated flying suit over top of that, plus your heavy other outer suits with your heavy fleece lined suits. You had heated boots and you had heated gloves, which didn't always work.
What was your job on the B-24?
I was an aerial gunner and part-time crew chief.
How many bombs did your plane carry?
Depends on the size of the bombs. We would carry 10 500-pounders, or we would carry 6,000-pounders, or if we had, how do I say, I can't think of the name of it now. Cluster bombs. There were cluster bombs for personnel bombs, and they weighed several hundred pounds, and when they exploded, there'd be 10 or 15 bombs, and each rack would separate and blow up separately.
What were some of your targets?
Marshalling yards, munitions works, railroad yards, tank works, bridges.
What planes served as escorts for the bomber squadron?
Basically, we had a squadron of P-51 Negro pilots in Italy. Then we had some P-38 people over there.
How many missions did your crew fly?
As a crew, we flew 13. I flew 13 missions with the crew, and then after we came back to base, we all separated. We had no crew left anymore because some of them were sent home. So I flew what personnel from our crew were left. We flew as photographers with anybody and everybody in the whole group.
How many missions did a B-24 crew fly before they were relieved of duty?
We had 535.
What hit your plane that caused the crew to bail out?
Well, we were on our initial bomb run, and we believe we were hit with flak because the plane lurched upward, and number 2 engine ran away, and the other 2 engines lost oil pressure. We only had one good engine left.
What experience did you have in using a parachute?
Wasn't much experience. They told you how to put it on, and when you jump, you pull the red handle. That was it. That was your training.
What type of escape kit did you carry?
We had an escape kit. Was in was a little plastic pouch, and it had a map in there, $48 in gold sealed money, and that was about it. And an ID card, which didn't mean anything because nobody believed it.
What country did you parachute to, and which side controlled this country?
We bailed out over Hungary, and we bailed out right behind the Russian lines at the time. There were still some Germans in the area, but the Russians had gone through there fighting.
What problems did you encounter trying to get back to your base?
Transportation mostly to a U.S. delegation in Bucharest, Romania. We had to go. We tried to get there. We got there eventually. It took a while, and then we were put on a plane and brought home through various air regions.
What was the food like in Hungary?
Spectacular. We would often stop at a house someplace. We had a guard with us, a young Russian soldier named Nicky. He was 19 years old, and he was assigned to us take us back to Bucharest. We would go to a little town or a village or somewhere, and usually after we identified ourselves with the Russian local police, they would feed us. And on one occasion I had some funny tasting meat, so I asked this Russian officer, I said, "What are we eating?" He says, "Well, maybe horse, maybe dog, maybe cat." He says. I quit eating right there.
How many days did it take you to get back to your base?
It was about 3 weeks.
What happened to your crew after you returned to the base?
Well, 2 of our officers were sent home. Our pilot and our bombardier were sent home because of injuries. Our ball turret gunner was sent home because of war nerves. And the rest of us stayed and finished our missions as best we could with other crews.
Did you have to fly any more missions?
Oh yes, I completed my tour of duty. 22 missions after that.
Have you kept in contact with your crew over the years?
Yes, some of them.
What impact did the USO have on your military service?
The USO?
Mhm.
Overseas, very little if any. We had one show come to our base one time. And in California, we went to the USO canteen in Los Angeles once or twice. That was about it. They would occasionally come to the base and put a show on in the theater at the base, but not very often.
Did they succeed in keeping up your morale?
Well, as far as I was concerned, they had little impact on me, really.
Did you meet any famous people that you saw at the USO shows?
Well, band leader Phil Harris, which you probably don't know, he was married to Alice Faye, which you don't remember, and the King sisters, and who else? I can't. There's someone else, but I just can't think of it right now.
Did you use Vmail?
All the time.
Please explain how Vmail was used.
You had an email, you had a special form sheet which you wrote on which you wrote a letter, and that was put on microfilm and sent back to the States to where it was addressed to, and then it was put back on a sheet of paper. So it saved a lot of space when shipping back and forth to the States.
Did you have any mail censored?
All of our mail was censored from overseas. A lot of it was, if you put something in a letter it wasn't supposed to, it was cut out or blacked out.
Were you able to receive mail very often?
Well, about once a week we got mail.
What was your immediate reaction to being discharged?
Relief. It was, well, I couldn't wait to get out of really. They tried to get us to stay in and re-enlist and join the reserve, but I wanted no part of that. I had enough.
Did you participate in any welcoming home celebrations?
There was a parade. The whole town had a parade. I think it was Memorial Day in 1946.
How did the government reward veterans for their service in the war?
The state gave us a bonus. That was it.
Do you think that the government did enough to reward the veterans?
Well, we had the GI Bill of Rights. A lot of ex-soldiers went to college on that bill, but I didn't. They had various benefits. They had what they called 5220 Club. If you were unemployed, you got $20 a week for 1 year until you got adjusted or found a job.
What did you do as a career after the war?
Well, I got a job in a steel mill and spent 35 years working for U.S. Steel.
How did your service and experience affect your life?
My service experience?
Mm-hmm.
taught me a lot of responsibility, and you grew up in a hurry learning to do what you had to do and became an adult real quick.
Is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
Not really. You've done a pretty good job.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
That's it?
Yep.